Hey folks, Jonathan here. About time to stick this rear end in this truck. I know a lot of people's been waiting on the videos for this, but been busy, other things, you know, it wasn't a priority, and it's still not really a priority, but I've got a clutch to do tomorrow in a rollback. So I figured that it'd be a good time to get this up here because it's going to leave me no choice but to go ahead and at least get it where it'll roll, and because I'm going to move this to put the rollback in place. But just like everything else on this truck, anybody that hasn't watched the videos previous to this, there's nothing that was done on this truck that was done right. Everything is just, for lack of words, it was half-assed. And the let me see, clutch, someone put a hydraulic clutch on it, had to redo all the brackets and the mounts, and the whole front end was just put in wrong. I put another front in it. One of the axles was broke, and then the rear end, they put a new yoke on it, and it turns hard, and then I don't know, it don't feel right. It's like it's got too much backlash, and then when you turn it, you can feel it sort of trying to tighten up. So I'm not even going to try to put a crush sleeve or change it or do anything. I'm just going to change the rear. I've got the matching rear that come out of the truck that the front come out of, and it's right here. And this was a one owner low miles truck. It sat for a long time, but it wasn't, you know, wore out or anything like that. So and like I said, I know this one's got some major issues. And let me see, first thing of course I done was take the forklift. I drove the truck up here, pulling with the front wheels, and took the forklift and picked it up. I noticed the bumper was coming up some, and I said, well, what the heck, we'll pick it up and look. And ooh, I hear it popping. We'll stay away from it. I don't want to get under it, but yeah, there's holes there. Let me see if I can zoom into that, because I'm not climbing under there. Let me see, where are we? Right on the other side of them wires. Okay. All right, you see how it slipped off? It's not on that bolt. It tilted up. Now there's one bolt in it, and of course one missing, and it's the same way on this side. So I don't know why I would have thought that, you know, they even put the bumper on right. But so now we're going to lower it back down. I'm going to knock that bumper back down and see if I can go ahead and get it bolted on right. That way we can at least work on it. And then we're going to try to get this rear end out and get it swapped over. But like I said, everything we've touched on this truck has just been done wrong. And I don't know why people do work like that, but you know, it wasn't safe at all. And you know, even with this bumper on here and here, they got an 1 5/16" mobile home ball on it. So you know, I can imagine they'd probably hook up to anything and go right on with it with 2 bolts in the bumper. So we're gonna let it back down and we'll fix that, and then we'll go from there. It looks like I broke a couple of the lights, which I really don't care because they're coming off anyway. So I guess they must have bought that panel. I just don't want them lights around it. But I guess I could have checked, you know, if you walk up to it and I could have grabbed it and checked it, but all right, let me get at it. Okay, here's the next thing that I don't like whatsoever. You know, I've explained to people before, I don't like blocks. Let's see if I can get to where the light here. I don't like these blocks. These are, I guess, 6-inch blocks to raise this thing up. But anyway, you can see the U-bolts are toward the front, and if you look down in there, the center pin on the leaf is here. And the reason them are moved forward is these blocks are wedged. They're actually angled, so it brings your pinion angle back to what you need, and which I think is just a joke here. See, there we go. I think it's just a joke. They're probably 6 inches on the back and 5.5 on the front. So maybe you can see this one over here a little easier, a little better. Zoom it in. There you go. So anyway, I don't like these things. If I'd have built this truck, I'd have never used them, which I'd have probably never built it to start with. But anyway, we're gonna leave them on there because they're there. And then I don't know. Well, we don't know the fate of this truck yet, but don't think it's gonna be hanging around here too long. But let's get straightened out, everything we can straighten out on it. I don't want to put it on somebody else. Not like it was well, I ain't gonna say put on me, like it was put on my buddy, because he didn't know any better. but I'm sure the man before him did, because I know who that was. So. Alright, let me get at it. While I'm over here, I'll show you one more thing. If you see that, notice that that's actually gear oil. Axle seal was leaking in it. I don't see anything coming out of the wheel cylinder, so it's definitely gear oil. And you can hear the clicking. That's bad spider gears. Alright, another issue. 2 rubber bushings. You can see how big the hole is. Had to bolt through it, and no metal sleeve in the center. So, one more thing we got to take care of. Well, I'm just not going to run out of stuff to show you on this. Went to loosen up the brake line, and notice this. Whole backing plate's loose. That's not good. Well, if this goes right, I'm going to drop this thing down, take the last 2 nuts off the U-bolts, and then raise it up, and it'll be out. See another issue? Gotta put a new pin in the spring, centering pin. Don't surprise me though. Okay, we got it out anyway, so now we can start cleaning it up and getting things back together like they should be. The only thing that surprises me about this is that the other side's not broke too. And I guess I need to check it close and make sure. Yeah, because everything else is messed up. I just seen 2. Here's how the emergency brake cable was in there. They didn't have them hooked up front, so it was pulled out and jammed in there. It wasn't hooked to anything, so more bad stuff. I just noticed something else. Rough country. Looks like maybe that spring was added in. All these springs have the plastic on the ends for wear, and that one don't. So that must have been an add-in helper spring. Try to help lift it. So somebody's definitely had it apart before. Okay, we got it clamped together anyway. These things are always fun, especially when you got one spring that's arsed a lot more and it goes in the center. So get a bolt made, and what I'll do is I'll round a grade 8 bolt off and run it up through. We don't have any of the actual pins that go here that are the correct ones for it, but we'll make do with what we got. Brake lines are hooked up. I got the bleeders loose, so it'll gravity bleed for a little bit. And let me see, emergency brake cables we're going to have to change out. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet or not, because I'm probably going to end up redoing the brakes on this thing eventually. But I'm not too worried about it right now. I have to find a drive shaft. I've got the splines and the yoke for the front. I don't have a good shaft, or I may have one. I just don't have a good one right here with me. Everything else is done. Shocks is hooked up, and everything seems to be pretty good. And they didn't have the brake lines hooked into the rear end like they were supposed to be. And I went ahead and done that right, and trying to get everything straightened out like it should be. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and try to get this, at least get the wheels and stuff on it. That way I can move it again, and then we're going to hunt a drive shaft up, and we'll have to make the drive shaft for it. And I've got a radiator to put in it, and we're going to probably tune it up and rebuild the carburetor and get the, well, we got the exhaust we got to do too. So I'm just going to put some pipes together. I'm going to run right back into these stacks because it's already there, and the exhaust that's there is in pretty good shape through here. And so I just need to tie our down pipes into these pipes, and we'll just let it go at that, and no muffler. We'll just see how it sounds. Okay, we got the wheels back on. Everything fit on good, thank goodness. And the emergency brake cables, I haven't changed. Here's the other ones. They all run to the one side. The ones that was on this 75, 76 model rear end, they run to each side. And everything's missing on this truck, or a lot of the stuff is missing on this truck for the emergency brake. It's got one of the cables there, but I'm going to have to change the piece under the dash, and it's got some issues. So we'll decide what we're going to do on the emergency brake, but it's definitely going to have one. But anyway, let me see. I'm going to try to hunt up a drive shaft. Well, my plans was to quit, but I started playing around on a drive shaft and was hunting one up. This is one that come out. I'm worried about this weld up here. I may check this and put it in the lathe and see how straight this is. If this is straight, we may end up reusing this. I may go over the weld on it. But we got to change the yoke on the end either way, and the weld on it looks terrible. Yoke's shot. So I had a shaft there that would have worked. I would have had to change the one end, but this is the one that I didn't use in Junior's car. This is actually out of a 55 Chevrolet, believe it or not, but it's got the same size yoke or joint. But there is a dent. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a dent right there in this shaft. That's why we changed out. I had one in a Buick. They actually, you might be able to see the Buick right there. Pulled the drive shaft out of that and used it in Junior's. We had to shorten it anyway, so. But that's about in a spot where I can't work with it. Now we got another joint, another drive shaft in here, but this one steps up and cuts back down. And I'm going to check the diameter of it and see if we're going to be able to work with it. I went ahead and bolted the yoke on there. And if this one won't work, then we're going to check out the original and see what we can do with it. Maybe we can take a yoke off of Junior's here, cut it off and weld it on this one. Okay, I've got it lined up about where it's at. I might have it pushed in a little farther on the splines than what it should be. Looking at the other end, looking at this end, them splines are not in there nearly far enough. So this drive shaft's too short. I'm not going to even attempt that. I don't know how far it went in, but I'm going to pull it out and check. And I think we will do whatever it takes. We'll cut this piece off. We'll do whatever it takes to make a bushing to go to this bigger shaft. And I think that'll work out. Alright. Okay, we got this one cut. And of course this one's cut. And you can see the welds I worry about. There's a lot of porosity in them. I normally wouldn't do this, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This fits down in there. I mean, you can feel some play in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean them up. I'm actually going to clean this up on the lathe, but I'm going to clean the inside of this out, and I'm going to get a good measurement. And Richard had sent me a lot of shim stock. I think I'm going to wrap that with shim stock and press it in, and then I'll dial indicate it in and weld it. I don't see an issue of why that wouldn't be okay, as long as I can get it straight and get the shim stock in there. So it's close enough that I think probably 8 or 10 thousandths, maybe less, because you know when you wrap it, you're wrapping both sides. So 3 or 4 maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, let me clean that up first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, here's what I ran into. This was not square whatsoever. I mean, it wasn't indicated in at all, that drive shaft. And whoever welded it, you can see where I turned it down. That weld's no good. It's got a lot of porosity all through the weld. And I kind of figured that. You could only see a couple little spots on the outside, but probably not, they didn't get it clean. So I'm not going to be able to do what I was talking about because we're going to have to shim it too far, and then I don't want to weld to this. So I'm going to turn this piece completely off of here, and as you can see, I just barely busted through on this side. You know, it was an interrupted cut for a longest time because it was not square whatsoever. So anyway, I found a piece to make the bushing out of for it. This is actually a piece of the rear end housing that we cut. So I'll shorten that up, but I'll make it into a bushing. And you can see we got a pretty good gap now. But it's going to get worse because, like I said, I'm going to mill some more of that off. And then we'll open that up, press this in it, and then turn the outside of that so we can press it in there. And then we'll be able to weld it all up. All right. Okay, so what I've done here is turn this back down to basically factory specs, a little bit undersized, but clean the inside of it out there. But anyway, that's back like it should be. No weld whatsoever on it. So now we're going to make the bushing. You see what our difference is here. It's 1/4 inch, so it's probably going to be 1/8 inch thick bushing by the time we're done. All right, let me get at it. Okay, so we got it turned out. I got it pressed on. I put a couple tacks on it because I'm afraid to chuck this in and turn it too hard because I didn't want it to slip or anything. So we're going to do the outside now, and then we'll shorten it up and it'll be ready to press in. Okay, there she is. Gonna have to, like I said, weld the whole thing up. We're gonna go ahead and stick it in the truck and just see my length, make sure everything's okay before we do anything. Now we're gonna dial indicate it in the truck just like I normally do. So we'll get it all bolted in and raise the back up where we can turn the wheels and dial indicate it and weld it. But good and tight though. I mean, it's definitely what we need. All right, she's trying to get dark on me, but I've got it in. Fits just fine. We're in there good on the splines now. I can actually touch the end of it up inside, so it's a ways up in there, but it's plenty of room. So we don't have to worry about it going in and jamming, or we don't have to worry about it falling out, so that's perfect. So tomorrow we'll dial, or well, I'm not promising tomorrow, but I got a clutch to do tomorrow, but on the next video, we'll dial indicate this thing and weld it. We'll weld some exhaust up on it, and then get the radiator in it, take it down the road. So, alright, appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.